This is Shannon Miller from Las Vegas Weekly, and this is my story from the comedy section in the June 11th, 2026 issue. Killing It. Janelle James on her foray into Hollywood, Vegas entertainment, and murder. You know Janelle James from the acclaimed ABC show Abbott Elementary, where for 5 seasons she has played an unfiltered principal whose ruthlessness is matched only by her fabulousness. You may also know her from her showcases on Netflix series The Comedy Lineup and The Stand-Ups. She's been in the stand-up business for almost 15 years and recently filmed an hour-long special coming to Netflix. On June 19th, she brings her best stuff to Las Vegas as part of the Aces of Comedy lineup at MGM Grand. Quote, "I'm excited for people to find out more about my talents as a funny person and professional clown," she says. Abbott has definitely been a windfall for me in that I have a bigger, new fan base, people who may not know that I'm a comedian. But I'm excited for people to find out that I can be funny in both ways. End quote. Question. You recently finished filming a special at the Vic in Chicago, and you got your start in comedy in Illinois. Did that feel like a homecoming? Quote, I started more downstate, not in the city. I chose Chicago not because I started there, but in my travels as a comedian, it's frequently been my favorite place to perform. A lot of comedians and musicians say that. The audience is always great and ready to have a good time, and there's a lot of theaters. Question. Now you're bringing it here. Do you have any Vegas stories you'd like to share? Quote, I've definitely performed in Vegas before, opening for some other comedians. I think the most memorable Vegas moment was when I saw the Backstreet Boys at Sphere. I didn't think of myself as a Backstreet Boys fan before this, but my friend is, and she was going to go by herself. I said, absolutely not. I had so much fun that I got depressed for 2 days after. I think I was filled with so much dopamine and joy. I'm not on the Backstreet Boys payroll, but I would definitely recommend that show. Question. You were a stand-up comedian and a TV writer before you landed your role on Abbott Elementary as Principal Ava Coleman. How was that transition into the limelight? Quote, in the first and early seasons, I was mostly just telling jokes, which I've already been practiced at. It's a skill to be able to do a well-timed joke and have jokes land, especially the mean things that my character says, and still remain charming. Abbott was my first big role. I think I got lucky in that this character I'm playing is hilarious and a big jokester. I think show creator Quinta Brunson probably drew out my acting talents, and as I continued, she could see that I had other layers of my acting skills. So that's been drawn out over the seasons. Question. The description I see used often is scene stealing, and you've notched several Emmy nominations and won a Critics' Choice Award for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. Quote, well, thank you. I feel like if you can command a 1,000-seat theater by yourself with a microphone, TV is nothing. The awards weren't anything I ever thought about or actively worked towards. The whole side of Hollywood is so new to me. I had no idea about the process of awards and what they were. I never really paid attention. So everything else on top of this amazing job and experience is just cake. Question. You've been doing a lot of fashion shoots lately. You dress differently than you did in 2018. Would you describe yourself as a fashionista? Quote, I'm a child of the 90s. I just loved fashion. I remember being obsessed with Madonna and her seemingly homemade style. Everybody used to cut up a t-shirt and use half of it as a headband and a skirt. I loved that whole scene. I remember wanting to move to New York purely for the aesthetic, and I did. I briefly went to fashion school. I did not finish, but in that time, I worked throughout the fashion industry as a publicist, a tailor, and salesperson. I just always loved clothing. I've always had all the magazine subscriptions and love the classic supermodels. What's funny is, then I got into comedy, and I kind of killed that within myself, because it's such a boys' club. I took the route of de-feminizing myself in order to be taken seriously, and kind of forgot that I had this interest in style within me. And then I got to play this character and remember, oh yeah, I am a bad bitch. And so, it's come full circle, and I'm back again, loving clothes. People are like, oh, you've changed. And I'm like, it's been me the whole time. Question, what can we expect at your Aces of Comedy set at MGM Grand? Quote, I like to say that most of my special is about murder. Isn't that hilarious? I fancy myself a comedian that tackles dark topics. So if you like that, come on through. Question: politics are impossible to ignore at this point. How do you handle that topic in your comedy? Quote, I speak about politics in the same way I do anything else. I try to find a common theme and common ground, and then try my best to make it funny. I wouldn't call myself a political comedian, but it's something I'm living. I'm an adult, and I think that's part of our responsibility to pay attention to what's happening around us. So I do comment on it. Question: in Vegas, you're playing the same room as Jay Leno and Arsenio Hall, some of the greats. Seems to me like you've, quote, made it. As a comedian, how do you know you've made it? Quote, you don't make money for a long time, and so, to get paid to tell jokes, I think, is when you've made it. Getting paid in actual money and not sandwiches and drinks, because that's what you get paid in frequently. That's all we deserve until we start making people laugh in earnest. Getting paid and then having a hotel room paid for, and a place to stay after the gig, not sleeping in my car. There's so many non-luxurious tiers to this. After you work in certain spaces and not get paid for so long, any compensation seems amazing. This is a job that I like to call extended adolescence. Once we've made it, we have so much fun. I make people laugh for a living. I laugh at my friends for a living. What a dream. You can find this story and others online at lasvegasweekly.com.